another episode of the Brett Allen Show. Today we are chatting with the amazingly talented Kara Duncan. You can see her currently on the Fox Network comedy. I mean, this show is just so funny, pivoting. Kara, welcome into the show. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's actually Cara Duncan with the
Kara
yes,
Duncan.
I know.
Okay.
It's always 50-50. It's either a toss-up. Some people say Cara, some people say Cara.
Well, that's okay. I gladly stand corrected.
Yeah.
No problem at all. If that's the worst, then I think we're off to a good
We're
start.
off to the
So,
best start ever. Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about this fantastic show. It is just so funny.
So funny.
And I tell you, Fox Network is just known for putting out some really great comedies.
Really good.
Um,
Yes.
and they just have that area nailed. But this show is just over the top hilarious. And folks watching later, you could see the background. I mean, we just have a good time on the show. Cara, can you let us in on the project, your character, and sort of how this all came about for you?
Yes, absolutely. So the writing is actually from Liz Estroff. She's an amazing writer. She's written for numerous shows in the past, and this show pretty much centers around three best friends: Liza Coop, Jennifer Goodwin, and Maggie Q. And the pilot starts off with one of their friends dies. So they kind of start to say to each other, okay, how can we pivot our lives? How can we change our lives in order to, live happier lives and be more fulfilled? So one of them wants to become a better mom. So she starts coming home a little earlier from work just to spend time with her kids. The other one wants to get into better shape and wants to get out of her kind of rut of a marriage there and just, focus on herself. And finally, Maggie Q's character, Sarah, she quits medicine and wants to start working at Field's supermarket because one day she comes into the grocery store and sees everyone just having the best time, no worries. And, with her high stress job, she was like, this is where I want to be. And this is what I want to do to be happy. And that's when my character comes in, episode 5, which hasn't aired yet, Tansy. And I kind of help in that process of her carefree attitude, behavior. I mean, my character is so fun, so spunky, just the girl that you want to be, the cool millennial kind of fun girl. And yeah, I mean, she's hilarious as well. So it's great.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a good show. And again, the cast, including yourself, are just fantastic. Jennifer Goodwin from Once, of course,
Yes.
Maggie Q from Designated Survivor, and
Yeah.
other amazing shows.
Mhm.
But this is fantastic. Now, my question is, when you were putting all this together, were you able to get most of this done? Was this pre-pandemic, post, middle, kind of a mixture of things, a
Right,
hybrid?
right. Yeah. So this actually, I got the audition back in September of 2020. So it kind of happened really, really, really quick. And then I read the character and I was just like, oh my gosh, this character is hilarious. Just so much fun, so much full of life. I don't want to give too much away about it because
No, you're fine. Yeah, I get it.
I know that it's coming up still. But so as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, this is, and especially like Tristan Shapiro was one of the directors and executive producers on the show, and he's done numerous shows. So I was excited just to be a part of this project. And once I got the call, I was like, yeah, great. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is after not after the pandemic, but 2021. Are we in 2022 now? Yeah, so
I
2021.
know. It doesn't even make sense. I was going to the bank this morning and I wrote 2021 on my deposit slip
Yes,
and the teller's like, it's
that's not right.
2022. I was like, "Are you sure about that?" And she took out her phone. She's like, "I'm pretty positive
It
about
still
that."
feels like we're in 2021. Like it's insane.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I tell you, just this last year or two has been crazy. And but
Mhm.
thankfully, you and everybody else in the industry has been able to work and put together
Yeah,
content. I know it was a little touch and go there for a while as to what
right.
might happen, but I mean, this show is great. And, I have to tell you, in a time right now where we are kind of
Pivoting.
pivoting, exactly, it's always fun to watch art imitate life a little bit or pre-imitate maybe on some levels.
Exactly.
But this is just fun for everybody, I think. And um sort of in the genesis of being a storyteller, when people get a chance to watch this fully and to watch your episodes, like what is your hope, Kara, for people to sort of be able to take away from it? And I
Right.
mean, if it's just out being entertained, that's fantastic. But
Yeah. It's kind of being entertained, but it's like what you said before. It's really relatable with what
yeah,
everyone had to go through with COVID. As soon as the pandemic hit, everyone had to pivot and kind of change their lives. And people started saying, we don't know when the next day is going to be or what's going to happen. You know, people went years without seeing their families. I know I did. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. So even going
okay,
back there, you know, you didn't see your families for quite some time. So it was kind of like that change and that everyone can relate to without actually saying this is about, you know, COVID pivoting,
right,
but kind of relatable about like what we actually are going through, but with some humor, because I always find no matter amongst all the madness, it's really important just to be able to laugh, you know, to be able to not just laugh at yourself or the situation and be like, okay, well, that happened. Let's try to push through, push forward, and make the most out of it. And you know, try something new. I had a lot of friends who did stop doing their career and go into something completely different,
oh
just
yeah.
to become happier, you know? So I feel like seeing this comedy and all the people watching in the audience is just gonna relate to it so much, but also laugh at the same time, which we all need.
Yeah, everybody could use a good laugh. What was it that interested you in storytelling? What was it in your life that happened that made you go, "This is something that I want to do, or something that I want to pursue as a full time career, a
Yeah.
vocation?"
Well, I actually grew up first, I started dancing at the age of 4. I saw my sister dancing at the dance studio, and I was like, "Oh, I wanna do that." So I started competing actually at 4 years old, doing ballet and jazz and tap, contemporary, hip hop. I mean, the list goes on. And then around 8 years old, I started getting into musical theater because our program at the dance studio had a musical theater production. And I started going into that program, and my first role was Wicked Witch of the West. As
Nice.
an 8 year old, like it was just super fun. And then I went on to do Annie and all of these other different fun productions. And right then, I knew that I wanted to be in this industry. So around 10, I kept begging and annoying my family all the time, get me an agent. Like, I want an agent, like, get me someone. So they're like, okay, just to shut me up, I'm sure. They got me an agent. And then, yeah, all throughout middle school and high school, I was working doing different sitcoms and commercials and whatnot. And then, actually, when I graduated from university, because that was also the rule, right after high school, I was like, I want to go right to LA or to New York and to pursue acting.
No, you got to go to college.
Exactly. We know that feeling. It's like, no, you need to go and get like a backup plan of college kind of thing. But even still, my backup plan was still centered and revolved around the arts. I went to Ryerson University, majored in theater dance. So, yeah. So then after I graduated from school, I shipped right to New York and started, you know, auditioning for Broadway productions, and then I got West Side Story shortly after, and I toured with them internationally for a year. So then, just from then, the progression and the how it kind of went for me has been it's been very tricky and very tough, especially dealing with Canada immigration and you know I'm coming over to America. But it was something that I always knew from like a young age that I really wanted to do.
Yeah, I love it when I talk to folks who have that theater background. They do Broadway, they tour, and things like that.
Yeah,
Because it seems like, I mean, I know this, and I think most of our listeners do at this point. I mean,
yeah,
they're two very different skill sets to
yes,
have, two
yes,
different sets of muscle memory, but it's always good to have it. I want to ask as we wrap up here about your experience touring with West Side Story and being
yeah,
on Broadway and things like that. What was that like for you? I don't want to say a young age, but really just starting out and
yeah,
having that big break and then
yeah,
being put into this machine of touring and
yeah.
all of that. What was that like for you, Cara?
Well, I developed sciatica from that, so that's it's also a fun
I
thing.
could see that. That would make sense with all the flipping and
Oh
dancing.
my
Sure.
goodness. I mean, 8 shows a week. It was tough and touring, and we went all over Europe. So we started off in Berlin, in Germany, Hamburg, Essen, Cologne, Leipzig. We lived in Paris for about 5 months. So we were all over, leaving for over a year, a little over a year touring. But the show, I don't know if you've ever seen West Side Story. It's one of
Oh,
my
hundreds of times. Yeah.
oh,
Live TV, all of it.
did you see the new Steven
I
Spielberg? Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful film.
It's one of my favorites, and it's such a classic, and it's so like prevalent to today as well. It just there's just so much in it that I'm just like, oh my god, I love this show, like this production. But yeah, doing that show was just amazing, and yeah, at a young age, it was my first kind of breakout role into doing something at a professional high level. So it taught me a lot. It taught me just how to balance, how to juggle, how to adapt, how to stay grounded amongst the madness.
Yeah.
And it really did prepare me in order for these other things that I've been working on recently. So it was a great first experience doing theater.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I love it. Everybody, please be sure to check out Pivoting on Fox.
Yes.
It's just fantastic. Watch out for Kara and all the other amazing things. And as a sidebar, if you've never seen West Side Story, I
Go
don't know what to say. Go see it in the theater. I mean, it's probably playing in a local community theater somewhere near you. Kara, thanks for hanging out today. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much for having me.